and welcome to another Literacy Live from Leeds Playhouse. My name is Lou, and if you'd like to come with me this afternoon, I'll be taking you on a story adventure. If there are any grown-ups watching today, we would love for you to join in. And also, if you would like to take pictures of the young people that you're working with this afternoon, pictures of them enjoying joining in with the workshop, we'd love to see them. So please do send them in. And throughout the workshop, we're going to be asking for the children's ideas and contributions. And if you'd like to share those with us, you can put them in the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. And if there are any schools out there watching today and you'd like us to give you a shout out, then please let us know which classes you are, which school you are and where you are, and we'll do that at the end if we can. Okay, so a few things before we start our story adventure. The first thing is we need to make sure that you've got lots of space to work in, because we're going to be moving our bodies quite a lot this afternoon. So just have a good look around if you're in the classroom or you're at home, and just make sure there's nothing around you that you're going to stand on, you might hurt yourself on, nothing that you're going to bump into, and maybe just put your arms out, have a little gentle spin around, and just make sure you're not going to hit anything or anybody. Good. Okay, and the next thing is this. This is my story bell. And if I ring the bell, it means that something new or exciting has happened in our story that I need to tell you about. So if you hear this bell, I need you to stop doing whatever you're doing and come back to the screen so you can listen to what happens next. Do you think you can remember to do that? I bet you can. Okay. Today's story begins with a boy called Stanley. And right now, when we meet Stanley, he's standing in the hallway of his house. And he looks a little bit like this. Can you tell how Stanley's feeling? I'm looking at his face and what he's doing with his body. Why don't you have a go? You copy me and do the same face as Stanley and see if that helps you to understand how he might be feeling. Are you ready? What do you think? Maybe a little bit cross? Maybe a bit frustrated? Here's another clue. As Stanley's standing there in his hallway like this, he's shouting something. I just need more space! Can you imagine what might be happening around Stanley for him to feel like that and for him to want to shout something like that? What might be happening? What might people in his house be doing to make him feel like that? Have a think and see if you can make me a still picture, like a statue, showing me something that might be happening in Stanley's house to make him feel like this. Who knows what it would be? Maybe somebody's shouting. Maybe somebody's pulling his hair. Let's hope not. Have a little think, what might be happening? And I'm going to count from 3 down to 1, and I want you to freeze in your pictures showing me what's happening. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, freeze! I wonder what is happening in Stanley's house. What could be making him feel like that? Well, what I can tell you is that Stanley lives in a very noisy house. You see, Stanley has got a very big family. In fact, he's got 9 brothers and sisters. And all of them together in the house sometimes adds up to a lot of noise. The door is always opening and closing. There's always music coming from one room, the TV blaring in another, the washing machine going round, the microwave going ping, people shouting, people singing, people chattering. Can you think of a sound that might be happening in Stanley's house? Could be a person, could be somebody upstairs on the drums. Have a think. A sound that we might be able to hear in Stanley's house. And then what we'll do is we'll all make all the sounds together, and that'll help us to imagine what it might be like to be in Stanley's house and why Stanley's feeling the way he is. Have a think. Have you got a sound? Are you ready? Okay. All together. 3, 2, 1, go. I bet that's noisy. Oh, I bet it is very noisy. Poor Stanley, living in a house with all of those noises. Stanley's grown-ups say that he lives in a jigsaw family. That everybody is like a jigsaw piece, and each one has come from a different picture in a different box, but somehow they all fit together and make a brand new picture. Stanley really likes being part of his jigsaw family, but sometimes it just gets too much. And when he's feeling a little bit like this, he goes outside into the garden, and that's where he finds his rocket. It isn't a real rocket. It's more of a beaten up cardboard box that he's drawn windows and wings and stripes on. But it's his rocket all the same. And when he feels like he just needs to get away, he climbs inside his rocket and he looks up at the sky. And he imagines what it would be like to be up there, up amongst the stars in outer space. You see, Stanley really would love to be an astronaut. And he dreams about all of the things that he would do if he was up there. Sometimes he dreams about being an astronaut and he thinks about what it might be like to bounce on the moon. Can you show me what it might be like to bounce on the moon? What would you look like if you were an astronaut and you were bouncing? Can you do it with me? Sometimes Stanley imagines what it would be like to ride on a shooting star. I wonder what that would be like. Would you be sitting on the star, or maybe you're holding onto the top of it and it's going to zoom through the sky? Can you show me what it would look like? You ready? Go! Another of Stanley's favourites is to think about what it would be like to be on the moon collecting moon cheese. Well, everybody knows the moon is made of cheese, right? So he bounces around the moon and it's a smelly bit of moon cheese. What else do you think Stanley might dream about doing if he's up in space? Have a think. What would you like to do if you were an astronaut up in space? Have a think about what you'd most like to do And in a moment, you're going to show me what it would look like if you got to do that. I wonder what you'll think of. I wonder what planet you'd like to go to. Or maybe how you would travel through space. Are you ready? Have you got an idea? Okay, you're going to show me all together. 3, 2, 1, off you go. I wonder what you're all doing up there in space. One of the reasons that Stanley really wants to go into space is because of how quiet it is in outer space. You see, up there, sound doesn't travel. So he could shout, he could make as much noise as he wanted, but nobody would ever hear him. Isn't that a strange thing? But imagine you're out there in outer space and you could shout something really loud, maybe a message back down to Earth. What would you shout? And remember, nobody's going to hear you. It could be a secret that you want to tell planet Earth or somebody on Earth. What would you shout? Have a little think, and then all together we're all going to shout out our secret. But remember, we're not going to be able to hear it. So you're just going to move your mouth as if you're shouting really loud. A bit like this. You get the idea? Have a think. If you were up there in space, what would you like to shout out really, really loud? Are we ready? Get ready, but remember, no voices, just moving our mouths. Ready to shout out your message? 3, 2, 1, go! I'd really love to know what you were shouting, but nobody will ever hear it, so it's a little secret for you to keep. Stanley knew all about space. And he knew all about space rockets. In fact, he'd even made himself an instruction book for how to fly his rocket. So I'll show you what the instructions are. See? He'd written them all down in order of how to do each one. I'll tell you what, I'll read out the instructions and see if you can come up with an action that shows me you doing that instruction. Shall we give it a go? Number 1, put on your spacesuit. Can you show me what that might look like? Put on your space boots. And put on your space gloves. All ready? Number 2, put on your helmet. Wonder how big your helmets are. Wonder how heavy they are. How they fasten. Oh, check your breathing. If we've got a big helmet on, we need to make sure we're getting oxygen into it, don't we? So take 2 big deep breaths. All good? Next. Get into your rocket. I wonder how you get into your rocket. I wonder if you step in, or maybe you have to go in head first. I don't know what your rocket might look like. In we go. Oh, Close the door. That's instruction number 5. Don't want to forget that. Put on seatbelt. That's a good one. And turn the key to start the rocket. I wonder where you'll put your key. I think mine goes here. Did you do all of those? Well done. Tell you what, let's do all of those instructions again in the right order, but this time see if you can think of a sound that goes with each of the actions. Do you think you can do that? Shall we have a go? We'll do it together and I'll remind you of the instructions. Number 1, put on your spacesuit. Put on your space boots. And your space gloves. Put on your helmet. Check your breathing. Remember, 2 big breaths. Oh, good. Get into your rocket. Close the door. Put on your seatbelt. And turn the key to start your rocket. Oh, instruction number 8. Type in your destination. Well, that means we've got to say where we want to go. Stanley knew all about the different planets, so he could choose wisely where to go. He wondered about the moon. That was nice and close. But astronauts have already been there, haven't they? Yeah. So then he wondered about Neptune. Oh, but then he remembered Neptune is a really cold planet. It's minus 200 degrees Celsius. Brr, too cold. What about Venus? Maybe not. Venus is a really, really hot planet. It's covered in volcanoes and lava. That'd be too hot for my feet. And then he remembered Mars. Yes, Mars is the planet most like Earth. It even has the seasons. So I think that's where Stanley is going to want to go. So he types in his destination. Beep, boop, 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 boop. You type in yours. And then press blast off. There must be a button somewhere in your rocket that reads blast off. Have a look around. There it is. Are we ready? All together. And blast off! And instruction number 10 is hold on tight. Woo! Stanley couldn't believe it. His rocket started to wobble and shake. And it started to lift off the ground. And it started to go higher, higher and higher up, up into the clouds. Higher than the clouds, up into the atmosphere until there he was in outer space. Do you know how long it takes to get to Mars? 6 months. This was going to be a very long journey for Stanley. Can you imagine what Stanley might see in 6 months travelling through outer space? Maybe he'd see satellites. Can you use your body to show me what a satellite might look like? I wonder what shape they are. I don't know if they're round or maybe they're long and thin, and they might have like aerial thingies that come off them. Maybe they wiggle a little bit. How would they move through space? What noise would they make? Can you show me your satellite? We'll do it all together. Ready? Off we go. Boop, 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 boop. I wonder what else Stanley would see. Oh, maybe he would see a black hole. Oh, black holes are big, dark patches of space that suck everything into them that's close by. Can you make yourself as big as you can be? See if you can be a huge black hole. And see if you can make a really big sucking sound and suck in everything that's all around you. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Did you get everything? Whoa. If Stanley's really lucky, I bet he gets to fly past the Milky Way in his rocket. Do you know the Milky Way is made up of hundreds of thousands of millions and trillions of tiny little stars, and they're all sparkling and twinkling. Can you make yourself into the Milky Way? How would you show me that it's all sparkly and twinkling? Maybe you can spread yourself out and make yourself as long as you can be. Keep sparkling. I wonder what sound it would make. Oh, I wonder what else Stanley saw in outer space on his journey in that whole 6 months it takes him to get to Mars. Have a think. See if you can show me something else that Stanley might see. Maybe he sees there an alien ship. Or maybe an alien himself. Or maybe there's a new planet that's never been discovered before. You could turn yourself into a whole new planet. Have a think. What might you be? Are you ready to show me? 3, 2, 1, off you go. I wonder what you are all being out there in outer space. I bet you thought of some brilliant ideas. Six months is a long time, isn't it? To be in a rocket in outer space. I wonder how Stanley felt right at the beginning of his journey. Imagine, he's blasted off in his rocket and he's looking out of the window. How do you think he's feeling right at the very beginning of his journey? Maybe he's excited. Maybe he's actually a little bit nervous or scared. Can you change your face to show me what you think Stanley would look like right at the very beginning of his journey? How might you feel? Have a practice, see if you can show me with your face, and we'll do it all together. Are you ready? Show me Stanley's face. Go! I wonder how many different things he's feeling all at once as he sets off on this journey. But then, after nearly 6 months out in space, how do you think he's feeling then? I think maybe he's a little bit tired. Maybe he's a little bit fed up, a bit bored. Have a think. What do you think Stanley's feeling when he's been on board his space rocket for such a long time? You ready to show me? Show me his face. 3, 2, 1, go! Probably is feeling lots and lots of different things. But not to worry. As he's looking out of his window, he sees his destination, Mars. He's nearly there. He wants to be safe on his landing, so he needs to get back into his seat in the rocket, put on his seatbelt, and hold on tight. He's going down towards Mars, where he lands with a bump. He opens the door, and he gets out to explore. The surface of Mars is very dusty and red. And so everywhere Stanley puts his feet, he leaves a footprint in the dust. But then, as he's exploring, he hears a strange sound. Sounds a bit robotic. Surely there can't be any robots on Mars. But then he sees a shadow appearing from behind one of the craters. It's an enormous shadow, the size of a car. Oh, Stanley doesn't know what's coming. But as the shadow gets bigger and bigger, he can see more and more about it. It seems to have arms with what look like hands on the end. It seems to have what look like eyes, but up on stalks, high above the body. And instead of any sort of feet, it seems to have round, turning wheels. What sort of robot looks like that? Can you think what that robot might look like? See if you can use your body to turn yourself into this robot that is coming across the surface of Mars towards Stanley. Remember, it's got arms of some sort, it's got eyes on stalks, and it's got wheels instead of feet. See if you can show me that using your body. I wonder where the arms are coming from. I wonder where the eyes come from. Have a go. See if you can turn yourself into this robot. I wonder how it would move, and if it's got any sounds as well that it makes, any different sounds. Are you ready to show me? Let's see you moving across Mars. Ready? 3, 2, 1, off you go. I bet you're making some fantastic robots. Stanley watched the shadow get bigger and bigger, and then the actual robot appear from behind the crater and come towards him. He realised exactly what it was. It was Curiosity, the Mars rover that had been sent there by NASA years ago. Curiosity is a brilliant robot that was sent up to space to explore Mars. They can do all sorts of things. And it's controlled a bit like remote control from NASA headquarters in America. You stay as your Curiosity robots, and I'm going to be the controller. I'm going to give you some instructions and see if you can follow them as well as Curiosity always follows the instructions from NASA. Are you ready? So if I say forward, you're going to move forward, but I'm going to say a number as well. So if I say forward 1, you take 1 pace forward. If I said forward 2, you would take 2 paces forward. And we'll do the same backwards. But remember, before you move backwards, you need to just have a look over your shoulder. Make sure you're not going to bump into anything or anybody. Let's see if you can go backwards 2. Ready? Oh, sometimes you might need to turn. So if I say turn to the right, I want you to see if you can turn your body all the way around to the right side. And then I'll give you another instruction. And we'll do the same to the left. So if I say turn left, go all the way around, and then start a new journey. Do you think you can do that? Let's see if I can control all of you. Ready? Forward 1. Turn right. Forward 3. Turn left. Backwards 2. Turn right. Forwards 2. Turn left. Backwards 1. Well done. Did you do it? Fantastic. Curiosity had lots of jobs to do up on Mars. He had to do what he was told by the controller down at NASA headquarters. But he also had 3 things that he had to do and information to send back to Earth. One of the things he could do was to drill holes into the surface of Mars. Staying as your Curiosity robot, can you work out where your drill might come from? Is it going to be your leg that drills down? Is it going to be an arm that drills down? Or maybe another part of you? Have a go. Let me see you drilling into the surface of Mars. You ready? Off you go. Curiosity also had lots of things going on the inside of the robot, so that they could take the samples, the bits of rock and sand from the surface of Mars, and put them inside Curiosity, where lots of little robot hands would work really hard to test the samples, test the bits of rock. So it might take its temperature, it might measure it, it might weigh it. Lots of different robot hands doing lots of different things, all right inside him. Can you have a go? show me what your robot hands would do if they were testing lots of things from Mars and sending the information back to Earth. And I wonder what sounds they'll make as they work. Are you ready? Off you go. Ooh. One of the most important things that Curiosity had to do was to take photographs of the whole of the surface of Mars, so that the people at NASA on Earth could see exactly what it looks like. Can you work out where your camera might come from? Is it going to come up? Is it going to come out? And how is it going to take a picture? What sound might it make? Can you show me what your camera might look like? Are you ready? Off you go. Fantastic. Stanley was so intrigued by all of these things that Curiosity could do that he stayed on Mars and helped out and learnt everything he could from Curiosity. But after a while, he looked out into space and he saw, can you guess? He saw planet Earth. Earth was a long, long, long way away, so it was only the size of a marble or a pea. But as he looked at it, he remembered it was home, and he started to feel. Can you imagine how he might feel? Maybe you could show me with your face. How do you think Stanley feels looking back at home? I bet some of you have got the same idea as me. I bet he feels a little bit lonely, maybe a little bit fed up. He wants some of the comforts of home. And he remembered, well, it had taken him 6 months to get here. It was going to take him another 6 months to get back to Earth, so he'd missed over a year. He'd missed his birthday. He'd missed all of his family's birthdays. He'd missed all of the celebrations that happen. Oh, and surely his family would be missing him by now. But he felt bad. He didn't want to leave Curiosity on its own up here. Because Curiosity had been on Mars since 2012, all by itself. I wonder how Curiosity feels. Do you think you can show me in a robot way how you think Curiosity feels, being on its own up on Mars for so long? I wonder. You make a robot sound. I bet Curiosity is feeling a bit sad. But you know what? Curiosity is such a clever robot. Now, as it looked at Stanley, it knew exactly what Stanley was thinking. And it gave him a message. Curiosity crept close up to Stanley and said, "I cannot be lonely anymore. I have you as a friend." Even though Stanley was going to be going back home a long, long way away, Curiosity still felt like he had a friend, and that his friend would always be there, no matter how far away. Stanley didn't feel too bad after that. So he said his goodbyes and he got back in his rocket. Oh, we need to do all of the things on the instruction list to make sure Stanley gets back safely. So, into the rocket, close the door, put on our seatbelts, turn the key, type in destination, Earth, press blast off, and hold on tight. Stanley rattled through outer space until he was coming down towards Earth, where he landed with a bump. Stanley got out of the rocket as fast as he could and ran back into the house. But nothing seemed to have changed. It was as noisy as ever. The phone was ringing, the music was playing, the TV was blaring, people were chattering. And nobody really seemed to have noticed that Stanley had been gone. But as Stanley stood there in his house, looking and listening, he thought to himself, my family don't seem so noisy anymore. And he felt glad to be home. Curiosity, he's still up on Mars doing all of those jobs and sending that information back to NASA. I wonder if Stanley ever went back to visit. What do you think? Well, I'm afraid that is the end of our story for today. But just before we go, I want to say a couple of hellos. I want to say hello to Samuel, to Ruth, to Edward, to Anthony and to Jamie. Thank you so much for watching this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed our story. And if you'd like to give us any comments or send us any pictures, please do. We would love to see them. But for now, it's time to say goodbye from Literacy Live at Leeds Playhouse.